The President of the Supreme Court, Madam Martha Koome, has successfully created a storm in Parliament between the Kenya Kwanza team and the Azimio fraternity. Madam Martha Koome knew very well that when Nelson Harvey came up with some charges and accusations that she was not fit to hold office, at the back of her mind, she knew very well that the mastermind behind all these accusations was none other than William Samoei Ruto himself. And Madam Martha Koome was not going to go home without a fight. And so she decided to press a button. She appointed a three-judge bench at the High Court who ruled that the minority coalition is Kenya Kwanza and the majority coalition is the Azimio fraternity. With that ruling, you've already seen how they antagonize each other today, because as a result of that ruling, Raila's coalition went to the National Assembly and the Senate. They occupied the majority side and the majority seats. Now, the Kenya Kwanza team did not take this lightly, and they have already complained and they petitioned the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, to reign and rule on this. There was a debate, a heated debate, and Moses Wetangula is poised to rule on this very precarious matter on Wednesday. And we cannot wait to see how he's going to rule. But if there is one thing that is worrying the Azimio fraternity, is this statement that Moses Wetangula gave very proudly, telling them that it is not the prerogative of any institution outside Parliament to make a declaration as to which side is the majority. And Moses Wetangula made it crystal clear that that authority is vested in him. He is the only person who will determine, after all the deliberations, who between the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio is the majority coalition.
If you listen to me carefully, Robert Mbui, order members, and I want you to listen to this carefully. Order members, order. I did say, Robert Mbui, and you are misconducting yourself. You are too senior to be told to leave the chamber. I did say, and I want to repeat, and Emilio Odhiambo, who raised the point, has read this judgment clearly. The judgment quashed the direction of the Speaker on the majority-minority. The judgment never declared who is the majority. It is not the court to declare the majority. It is the Speaker of this House. And you better know that. It is the Speaker of the House to declare the majority.
Now, many people have begun to imagine just how Moses Wetangula is going to rule on this matter. And I want us to read something from Kabando wa Kabando. Kabando wa Kabando is saying this: Ole Kaparo was sponsored by Kanu's dictatorial regime in a difficult transition to multipartyism in 1992. Marende was ODM's 2008 when Kenya was on cliff. Once elected, both patriots served the country heroically. Wetangula's stoogy speakership has disastrous, disgraced Parliament. So according to Kabando wa Kabando, Kabando wa Kabando feels that if you compare Moses Wetangula to his predecessors, because a speaker must be sponsored by a party so that members vote to elect him. And he's saying that if you look at the predecessors, yes, they were sponsored by particular parties, but once they were elected, they exercised neutrality. They at least, it cannot be absolute neutrality, but at least they tried to show leadership when there was a conflict and a statement. And he feels that Wetangula is a disgrace to Parliament. I don't know what to think about his statements, but I was looking at social media and how people are responding. Many people feel that Wetangula is not neutral. But ladies and gentlemen, even as people still try to, imagine how Moses Wetangula is going to rule, Someone is sitting somewhere, and I believe he's also very happy. Who is this? The former deputy president. Rigathi Gachagua and his allies believe that were it not for the ODM, he would have been impeached because it was the ODM that provided the prerequisite numbers to enable him to go home. The ODM legislators played a very significant role in his impeachment. You remember James Orengo was there, lawyer Chinda Molo was there, Opondo Kaluma was there, and they rallied behind William Ruto and they voted together to send Rigathi Gachagua home. Now, immediately there was this broad-based government. You saw the way ODM was behaving. Adani deal was sanitized because that is one of the reasons why William Ruto brought in the ODM. And they killed the Gen Z's protest. They basically came to ensure that they protected William Samoei Ruto from imaginary or maybe realistic enemies. And then they also sent Rigathi Gachagua home. After that, the ODM fraternity bragged that they had stabilized the government. And that is why they were given those 5 seats. So they were rewarded with those positions. In fact, Opondo Kaluma told us that in light of their role, having stabilized the government by kicking out Rigathi Gachagua, killing Gen Z's protest, and sanitizing most of those deals. In fact, they have even brought some taxes that were there in the Finance Bill 2024. They therefore demanded that they needed equal share of the permanent secretaries, equal share of ambassadors, just as William Samoei Ruto. It had to be a kind of nusumkate. So when Rigathi Gachagua sees these people fighting, he's a very happy fellow. And why is he happy? And that is exactly what I want us to look here. For Rigathi Gachagua, it is a sweet revenge to the ODM fraternity that kicked him out. Because you can take it to the bank. One of the reasons why William Ruto brought in Moses Masika Wetangula as the Speaker of the National Assembly was to ensure that his interests were to be protected at the National Assembly. The same thing that he did at the Senate. And so it is expected very highly that Moses Wetangula is going to reward Kimani Chungwa and Silvanus Osoro to maintain their positions as the leaders of the majority at the National Assembly. You can take that to the bank. And the ODM would be wondering, I heard Junet Mohammed saying that we want to tighten and broaden and deepen this broad-based government. But it is very sad that when we want to be given our rightful positions, then we are now being looked at suspiciously. And this battle, ladies and gentlemen, is one that Rigathi Gachagua is really going to like, because ODM will feel betrayed. They have stabilized the government, and so they felt that William Ruto should talk to his members of parliament to relinquish those positions. Because if anything, according to them, they are still very loyal. Junet Mohammed is the one who has been warning people who are criticizing William Samoei Ruto. So according to them, there is no difference. When Junet Mohammed is there, he will play his role, swearing his allegiance to William Ruto just as Kimani Chungwa. And so they don't understand why their counterparts should not allow them to occupy their positions in accordance to the court ruling. So Rigathi Gachagua will be very happy to see them bitter because it is a sweet revenge. Number two, Rigathi Gachagua will be very happy because this is going to shake the foundation of the broad-based government. It is this broad-based government that took him home. He would be very happy to see them shaken, to see them reading from different pages. And he is praying that this battle continues, and is praying that Moses Wetangula comes up with that ruling, declaring the court ruling as null and void. Because as the Azimio fraternity puts it, they are saying we are not going to leave our seats because we have been given this legally by the courts. But Moses Wetangula is going to say it is not the prerogative of the court to declare who is the majority. So if the foundation of the broad-based government is going to be shaken. It is going to be Rigathi Gachagua is going to celebrate. And finally, this has been spoken by many experts that William Ruto could even face an impeachment motion. Because if you look at the forces that are against William Ruto, if you look at Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka, you look at Uhuru Kenyatta sort of, because Uhuru recently endorsed Matiang'i to face William Ruto in 2027, so I believe he's a nemesis to William Ruto. And Rigathi Gachagua, if you add that to Raila's support base, I believe they could have the majority in parliament. And Gachagua is praying that their differences can widen to an extent that they even consider impeaching William Samoei Ruto. With that, Kasongo is facing a rebellion in Kenya, and people would go on the street celebrating his impeachment. So Rigathi is a very happy man when he sees this rift and fight the supremacy battle between the Azimio and the Kenya Kwanza. Let me just call it Azimio versus the UDA wing that is supporting William Samoei Ruto. I don't know what you think, but Rigathi feels that Kalma is real. And if you ask me, I want Moses Wetangula to rule against the Azimio coalition so that they understand the ODM that joined this government must know that they were invited. They are not the real owners of this government. They were just invited. They are living in borrowed dress in rented houses that the owners can come and take anytime. This will be a lesson to them because Kenyans really don't want Kasongo, but they're the ones that rushed to protect and to sanitize him. Now a ruling is coming in their favor, and it is finding them already dining with the oppressor, dining with the enemy. And I would really want Moses Wetangula to rule against them. William Ruto can shock them. He can weigh and just say, okay, Junet Mohammed is as loyal as Kimani Chungwa, and so let me just allow him to occupy that position. That will strengthen the relationship or the foundation of the broad-based government. But when I listened to the sentiments and the tone of Moses Wetangula when Millie Odhiambo demanded that he steps aside because they feel he's not neutral and is not going to give non-partisan ruling, he told Millie Odhiambo, in your dreams, because Papa Aroma, yours truly, is the Speaker of the National Assembly, and he is the one who is going to make a ruling. I therefore believe that he's going to hand over Kimani Chungwa his seat. Kimani has been defending William Samoei Ruto, so it is a very precarious position, but ODM is going to learn its lessons. For Rigathi Gachagua, he's home and dry, laughing because they kicked him away. Now they are fighting among themselves. Do you think Rigathi is happy?